Na yensaka Dr. Eric Boachi Yadom wo UPSC ochade ewo ho na sikasam nkyerɛkyerɛ na wo kyerɛkyerɛ na aban mu mpanifo ekasa wo mra ekasa dem aban fa sikasam ho no wono nso eka ho bi doc akwaba
yeah
bibi aboko
nyame adom ahoye na wo so
adom me ho ye pa ye da se no wo mre nso yenhwɛ Omensa na hene ede yakwama bo hu nsem bana actually he wasn't there no ye finance minister being budget na work for that na ho na okoye no abesi na nan na ono na obema media budget review no obecheche nsem ahodo ye ka say ye wo IMF conditionalities mo ye sha IMF ase or ye sa shomenu enti abane hihia ahodo a wo ye Ediafa sa bria kopem se ye de me budget no ho ebensa betudwa no chichi mu nyamtie kakra ye nto aso
yo sele osika no constitution assembly edi oman we no so no ebo kwan to ho no se sa afe no ebu nkompa wa se obabobu nkonta e kire oman no abambobu nkonta through the Minister of Finance na kohoma sika so obepe bia ka ho ana obete so ana obe maintain no enti me na otwe etia ye hu se Minister of Finance dia wa betudwa na wo hwe ne nkasa ye mu na e kire se afuwe no aban abon ho modern bebre na wo hwe sika o ka so obe use ana se expenditure no na wo hwe around 96 you know and I want to be spending a little above it. I mean, and
now up 96 million Ghana cedis and that's $96 billion.
The expenditure was 104.8 billion targeted, and I was spending around 95.9. That is approximately 96 billion Ghana cedis. The American Ghana cedis. Okay. Naturally, says. See the I feel chairman said only two just on best spending about form kakra. The expenditure came down. Now what share revenue so now raise it was the targeted one was around 96.1 billion Ghana cedis. Now Bobu Nkonta naturally say for the bosumi like 6 months and more use 74.7 billion. Naturally, see the Omoka say revenue Omoka so be raising at about form kakra that is about 1.2 billion. Now say what sika abano and raise any near what use no be your friend said the deficit and that's and so spread done term now what you can see it is around 21.3 billion Ghana cedis. Now usually no so what kind of nominal figure now just what kind of trust and I understand I so but into you was super a measurement the measure that is the GDP
to sudia
measure as a scale of measurement now I said the deficit to the GDP is 0.2%. Now so from 1992 now this is the lowest budget deficit we have recorded.
If you be patrol with the sankai kakra, we say expenditure na 104 billion.
That was a target.
Say now so you know and you do 95.9. That's 96 billion. Okay. And a revenue so that's
targeted was about 76.1 billion.
Okay, 76. Okay. Okay, 76.1. Okay.
And or spending 74.7 billion.
Okay.
Into actual no so what if you man?
If about 1 point something. Actually. Okay.
It is a what revenue and as the cow are buying to me free to my phone home. Now they compare near expenditure and as a cow abona. Now difference is around 21.3 billion. And America says what the total or money in our home buy a friend GDP now. The deficit in terms of percentage is 0.2 for the first half. Now America will be from 1992 no. The budget deficit for the first half on this is one of the lowest we have recorded. Because what figures now one is usually annual, but for example, in 20 let's go through the election years. Now, some statistics now you found so what budget deficit in 1992 now the whole year it is around 4.2% of the GDP. And this is 1992 near around 2%, or 2.1%. Now over 1996 and so it was around 2 point. The whole year was around 2.2%. And it is it will be around 1.1%. Yes. The same thing about 2000 so the budget deficit for the whole year was around 8%. Not just a half year. I'm not saying the government expenditure is evenly distributed. Well, you can't say evening distributor say but to make a fair analysis, we are taking the averages. The highest deficit so far was in 2012 election, where we had about 12%. And just a half year we were doing around 6%. And as over 2016, so the budget deficit was around 8.2%. Half year will be around 4.1.
Okay. And
2020, where it was around 10.8%, so half year was around 5. And this year, 0.2. And the emphasis going forward, and our bank will even overspend. Less than our bank should overspend by 50% to 1% in terms of the deficit.
Okay. And when someone can maybe say. Ya wo kan nyina na abato abre no sabre na ye IMF ase ena na ye di sika no e ma no duru sam pempenso no ana se na entisa because in 2016 wo di yen hweso no satam no na any IMF ase ana ye wa IMF ase
na ye wa IMF na it was supposed to end in 2017
na still like until we no IMF conditionalities ni bi na ma no kokoba asa na se because IMF can say expenditure yen hwe wo yi sansa mo kan ne CSU sene Ghana forecast expenditure no was runti hwe ne ente so na no na ma ban yes ana say abana de finipe mu kan say me expenditure no was runti we de ma mehwere man bre from kakra
I was figures now they are most of them near IMF conditionalities but still our budget deficit no also and in a way no government has a choice to either obey IMF or not. IMF only give advice. Until wo abine na obe daju no ho say obe this one na won say nya say chinchina or so many mia wo say we the also with this one. And number one no you be say IMF conditionalities are there, but government also has a decision. And we share party na ban when na chance why we are also say number one obey the IMF conditionalities to get the other trenches of the IMF also in saka and any negotiation be so any one more do omo kan no the no omo kan no I was say to me this one na yen saka and number two so government your best government prudent spending nanka sa ade ya yehunu the first half of the year nke to akoso in successive government ya I think say nka omano esika sembe ye because budget deficit ya kan ho asem nyina no e won so so bebre wo man so say aban spend be ebebra kire say also either so be charge taxes more to augment the deficit and now say ogbo besian bebre to offset the deficit. Now, so buy a caso or charge taxes be bra, and now or due to be bra. So, can see back to my phone. So, now, so caso or be seen so we all know our debt levels. Bossing about I had in Kakran. And so I bind to me born home or then that's your prudent spending, that's a budget deficit, and I can see be bra at the taxes charges crown. Abambe timato no bo ase kakra te se ne wo hwe we no mu a budget when one fat new taxes be ama.
Yababa tax in some so na answer be cost tax in some so no. Who can be say a buying expenditure this first quarter no. First half of the year no. Boy pa na ye pa. Ansa na ye bedu sa afi na ye tumi akanfo ye say sika na nka ye di no yate so no. The previous years sika ye di ye yade toto afide ho a enye se because dipa kan bebre amanfo kan wasem bebre IMF an kasa kwaba mu se ade no ekorodo ntimonte so I think so World Bank so ne esa ekukwa do bi kasa de fa ho yen fa toto se sanka wo mu anka ne sa ma ye hu ne sanka se de di afi twa mu no anka ye sa na ka be koso afi so
be contributing factor just as a government you should be listening. You know, also with your footwear. And this IMF or can to move on a can as I said, yes, air spending. Yama more than so. Now you can see, say, Swati, just the government in a way, no, now so our form, no, with TNI and Crawford. So in general, you know, it has all contributed.
Okay.
I mean, and the union, I was say to me, I also monitor buying your war, you're not too. So you can't say, oh, yes, and also to me, yeah. Then I think it's a good cause. We join hands to contribute to the development of the country.
Yen hwet eto wo ka eto ho asem.
Okay.
Say eto ho asem no say ye hwe edi sika ne bebre a ne ma me ni betumi aye. Ye di ne bebre age say ye de to ba ne ye to no e de atiye kaso sika ne ye di no. And age say kwaje besia na de atisika ne ye di no so ye kaso kakra. Yen hwe afi media review budget no na nipa do no e ka say anka be ye to ahodo bi o aban hwe monfa otofu from dada bi wo ho ahwe na onyi fanfiro se na be ya Ghana fo betumi ahenha wo mo ebi no so ka say da bi enye sa biri no be ka say oyi to so na mo main budget no ana obetumi aka bibi a etisa wo mo a e kasa no hwan na esisi etie no aban na nka ban tumi enye hu bibi sa biri ana say oye hu bibi a enye yi eto no nsam na mebi say.
Okay, so into revenue projection we were short of about 1.2 billion. Should I say still the advance so bit
ko be jaje to no when
drew hono and the just of support to be a man na revenue shortfall no ebe ba form and no na be ma budget deficit no so akọ nanim enti me shedin a chere what teswa or you to only be from man na chere say enshada enkoye going to the next half no and I think that the best thing also why is what he did. So one for new taxes anya there ama meka ho ama taxes on man phone etu an add also so we share the part in what more tax nya kakra in my last check the tax less than 10% of Ghanaians direct taxes. So in direct taxes also be other so me know me no ya get to every sources that are identified no. So if you no kra na bet me to tax more than about so kind spare parts dealer. No just what the sika in the bottom e be omo tua what do you call it VAT and I say because the business are registered and they pay stamp what do you call the business whatever that they pay on the business not on their income. But say if you mo e be kra no mo sika na e kwa ni mo chen me know in the formal sector because a lot of people are yet to identify almost in their source of income. A lot of people are not paying taxes. And the Ghana tax, we have a vertical. One or two tax, no, or one or more. But tax must also be this way. I say it say as say brought the tax net the tax net aben kra kan wasam say ye betire mu am yetumi aye nema hudo bi se na be ye to no enkonkoba say nipa say da kan tia sa nipa kro na atu asa ba pimu ne yetimi. But there's hope budget we no hwemu kakra na.
Why should we wait for 7.5 years and hope na ba?
So one of the things that when we say one introducing new taxes, but idea about kind of say the electronic VAT, the e-VAT normal ban, it will affect additional 2,000 people will be robbed into the tax net. In the church and kakran 2,000 and shut down no so be as compared to what we expected. But because now there's the national identification card, which is linked to your bank account, which is linked to your TIN, which is your TIN number, a to identify a lot of tax, a lot of people who are supposed to pay tax. And although new taxes were not charged, but it has gone a bit wider. 2,000 more people are going to pay taxes by a bit to me amana to me a cushion. Send a bear, yenya, ye bit to identify yana, the yana abamba so tax businesses income and individual income directly affected. A bit my brass. So the hope is the set. The national identification card, that's a Ghana card now. What's it to me? You so me ye na ye to me naso emfaso. Send a bear no or ton idea or chrome, no a ton spare pass, no ton watch or kwano home. You bet to identify this is how much you earn in a month. So that you can also pay what to make sure be there a bebois to the development.
Which will be very difficult to assess. They say between me and who say beton dokono, beton kuku, beton wemo. Meton wachi meton abache krekuri sa nema no ebe den obi atumi hu se me sika binya na bosumi me Ghana card no kwam so before sika na meje me ko butum nti ebe den no ho atumi hu se sika na meje ye sika so do se na meje me any every year and as every day and as every month.
Okay, and idea ba to augment the Ghana card in this we should encourage electronic transfers and electronic money systems. So Coco was in a situation bottom. No, I'll call Jason or a quiet tabletop on also to an physical. But say you to me a bomb modern encourage people to use the former banking system or mobile money banking system. We can know the volume of transaction you have done over the period. One can say basically and when your mobile money vendor and our sending. So if we can trace the volume of your trading or your e-transaction, we can determine how much that if you are trading, you are transferring a million cedis every month, then a substantial money is coming through your passing through your hand.
So when they begin also the agent now such transaction so na a talk akira da so yin anim say levy and aban say obey ye free Dr. Baumia so be ye free ho so be man penia man pedada mama so be ye free ho enti say eto na yenya wo e-levy na anka no betumi abo because ye den Ghana card no nye e-levy enti e-levy no betumi abo ma ye electronic transactions no enti say e-levy need the free ho means how are we going to do the electronic transaction without the e-levy? Because e-levy ne to e betumi nya na ye dia cover enti say ye discount no cost na say eto bia mfiri ho ama ban ho na motako so no na wo mo de na mo tete ana kakra bi no mutua ma ban de a that means say sa to na e-levy de ba ni nyina no ni nyina be share continue ebema electronic transaction na wache wura na ebeye meaningless or useless ana
that be no said me fan say we ba panyin e wo fia na sa wona wadi nkan nya adwuma Obama de so be hwe omo amodu wachi na so obi nso sha na bed na wo so no eso say obi enyini no odu wachi no so nyini no so nya adwuma na so no so ne yamoja na so no so be hwe abusuanfo ne bia it reduces the burden on you and in the same way you are going to lose in one angle in the what do we call it, the e-VAT or the e-levy when you abolish it. But what you are going to also do is you are going to raise a lot of people also up. Send your cancer tax base, the watches seller no and the cocoa seller no. If they can be identified, like Senator McCann said, there's only 10% of Ghanaians who are paying taxes. So you to me abroad, now say you reduce taxes even by direct taxes by 30%. Now additional 40% back on. It is more than what you are losing. So we either go this way to continue tax the already identified people. That is the easy one to collect. businesses income, we can easily see it. You be who say, oh yeah, Juma formal sector, this is how much we are earning, now you are taxing. But say to me, the 11, the entire Dr. Baumia so abolition is it doesn't encourage people to use the platform. And to look at more real income. For example, say may transfer 100 cedis, may to 1 cedi. That's a to me, they are command car. I made their call a grandma. I will easily go to the lorry station and give it out. But it doesn't give incentive to hide my money. And you know, may use to 11 Abema, Abayan who and I say the tax authorities on who sika me use almost every
time on every you be come every Shabbat and tax in some of the questions be bisa. But the sense say the account endorse in IPPs. And the pop a one a year among the one some. You themselves will generate electricity man. You do almost pa. Now I do baby crown almost say almost yet. The more far in a modern MI. Who ye mobile into my power no. Says can have been a bit here, but yes, can only idea. Then I buy.
Yeah, I buy a car file where a budget no I'll be reading or say or a negotiation. I think say out of this 7 or so they have negotiated with 5 of them. They have been able to save over the lifespan of the project, about $6.6 billion. And no by way of renegotiations, I buy no more eco dim command no more casano. To me, I save this about 6.6 billion.
How did they save you? Say, you know, so money for the Christmas. You do almost, if I say 7, you do only na cabaye. Offer the 5 now, no more negotiations. You do almost $70 billion. And I can see Chiano, Afia, Nasafia, a day anyway, and the normal can see you. Okay, yeah, the affairs I can one. But still, they bet you $70 billion. And you know, if I'm saying that you could save us $6.something billion.
You can be this present value of money. Say, me do car 100 cedis. Names, oh, a moon, yes, I say, into the mammy, a feedback and count home, naming to 100 cedis. The real value of your money has reduced over time. And this would be can also push you when you man. Sikana and called by number 1 bet my even a CV at the yard for. And number 2, the real value of the money will reduce. Now, because of charge interest to augment the possible shortfall. But the interest no more renegotiation, it is not up to what they were supposed to pay. I don't have the right figure in mind. So if you're able to beat down the interest now in the real time value, who to me SCV sikan kakra, and even beyond the IPP the debt. So how even debt has even shaping up within this discussion. And it is true, sir. I buy the independent power producers in the car, but the renegotiation, ama abanwa hen kakra. A brank I wasn't combined 210 tem. And they give government briefing space to use the funding for something else.
I see. And now see, and some brand new show, you will be just about 7 minutes, but I think it's a bit maybe kakra. Minimum sad about Kwabay Kaya, more opposition, more kind of say. We are moving from taxation to production. In Tanya Shekrano, you bet me the existing companies and as manufacturers, bed you won't be brave with taxes. Now I'm on to me at one and then it will encourage a for so in that sector. No so to me about no maba beye nesadeɛ kyade saying no enwuma kwa na ekosoro but wo hwea and sheda ntisa papa esan say omnyina esu eto ebo for instance special is many excise duty edaso by per the excise duty no the entire you see the excise duty na ba ne say ya de ba say de be ya bibi say tobacco alcohol and nneema bia harmful to the body no eno nti ne de ba but the issue ayankwa excise duty edaso it is said to nyina be good nneema we so are we no more or less collapsing the industries ama cost of living utility tax labor whatever ama cost of production, the cost of doing business, and one will be a case what is the government doing about it?
Well, answer taxes in general. I said you have to squeeze to do one thing, and Nicholas will squeeze in Subebury. Number one, you can't say Adana are buying one for new taxes armor. And number two, you can't say what the taxes was baby or that also you through home. It is a washer and commodiana. Naturally, say a bank has a one charge the taxes. A bad thing, say, obey to me, the development.
Sure.
But what we are hoping is that the taxes will not burden industry. Abema industry, senior work can say, ama enyema boa akosoro ama industry. But I also think that generally is because we have not, it comes back to what we were saying earlier, say, you formalize the system, no. Until no kakrana business no mutual taxes, no. Or more no mutual taxes, no. Until say be formalizing on a bed then say a ban bar obey to me either access some kakra. So what share the African terrain? Ghana's tax to GDP is doing around, let's say, I think around 13 to 15%. Meanwhile, countries like Lesotho, Malawi, they are doing tax to GDP over 20%. And the chair say a tax to GDP is swap. What the total see their bankers will raising home and then you're to me raising that. Just say still an poker and drew near also raising at the bottom one at the show man. And this also a pempun to any idea. It already businesses that are paying tax, they are the ones suffering. That is why I believe strongly, sir, we have to bring a lot of people into the net. So the businesses taxes will come down. Businesses taxes on the average, you know, and you can say bro more than 24%.
But then more than that.
Until we are hoping, sir. Omasha Asian Kakran said they are bringing 2,000 additional people to pay the taxes. As we go into 2025 and beyond, no, they can bring other streams like property taxes, digital addressing, property taxes. And no, if it comes up strongly, I don't see why we should continue to burden industry. I say, burden industry with taxes plenty out. They can't even employ. They will rather lay off and businesses will reduce.
And that's what is happening because most of the companies look at free Ghana neighboring countries are established.
So all these are Niama Majidi say Abano Wafa Hunsuya Nintia or in the interim media and shut down the hobby in the interim, no? But I looking at the projection and where we are heading towards now, share budget here, which is quite inspiring now. Buying the two Jana, friends, the Minister of Finance the two Jana. There are signs, say things can be better, and we can only wait and hope, say, and never bet my day. As a man,
you can see a better one somewhere, and they can come,
yeah, and
the reality on the ground so no so come. And I know Pename share a video be also dwadini no or kasa with yawo passion and all the kasa it's as no or can beans kura yedi ne bo mreka kra besin koni ama bi so de ayede ba think say Niger beans ayede ba no na ne bo na wo de toto ho a ehwiri kosoro more than 300%. Nti ade acha de say nyina no ne ma no bo no kwa na ekosoro. Is the government aware of this? Say, truly and sincerely, no. A man for a business, no. Huna money. Nema bwokwa na ekosoro. Nti ono kofanya mane ba. Ono so beton sa ediama. Ba abani nim na ede na abani ye dia fa ho se na be ya. Enkonko ba se dwadini no be kofanya mane baba no. Obeton no ba bia ebi obeton mana abroso. Ebi so one ton year so no so boboka. Is the government aware na den abani ye dia fasa enhihye no?
Oh say enema boa ekosoro ni nyina no ejina niema bebre number 1 ejina cedi ne dollar no na say foreign no so eka ho say na wo kan omoko Nigeria ni ade that some dey safe na say dollar na dey kwa koto sa niema no enka jene ne ayi na ye was asase o say ye den ka dua to yield to produce the basic things that we consume. And I think say and never be a dear go, but that's a word you are cocoa now. A bit some time before you can start reaping the fruit of it. It's like 1D, 1F, planting for food and jobs and all those things. And I saw about, but and so abandoned baby, I bet to solve it majority of the problems that we are facing. So, Ojadini Eco Council. That's $1 now cost number one. And near Sikano de Cochrane man, and also because on the year and Kanyaman a walk room hand more. Not in the say, yeah, coffee bar and car, and no, we don't have to increase it. The only thing is transport and bring them to market. But near manner you do and shut that end so. And Tiama import and also quite a cost.
Where you can be about planting for food and job, and maybe we say planting for food and job no ankle. Because you back say railing for plan for food and job no ye no buy and and so ever be can home. Yene my yanka food in common, butcher for be in common. As some more can say a punchy boy day. A punch number wide, Nancy number wide, or giant number wide. Ning and say, Omokofa, a free neighboring countries, especially Burkina and Niger and Mali and Adeba. Some of the safer no so costro, it's on the bar and Bobby. It is anka truly planting for food and job no to mean impacts just about 30 or 40%. I can be baby a year. Truly, anka plant for food and job no to mean a Juma echo so 30 for 40%. Anka and no by bois ekosuri anka ebekosa.
I think so. We are on the same page. I think so. It had an impact, but then I said what sense we go a dear way. Now so now was did the Hanomon and yeah my so you may not be able to feel the full impact of it. I said there was no impact. I said one thing about economic figures and I said. I also said there's difference between what the fact is saying and what people feel. And as an economist, I can't tell you whether your life is better or worse. But I can tell you what the figures are saying.
It's the figures, you know, they say impact or maybe so and say impact.
Never. And where the figures are pointing towards, for example, as a worker hospital, ya foul is it vitals? Ya foul, near say what temperature I say, we say the figures are pointing say, but also fairly say, that is how it is pointing towards. However, so what share near year como says now, can who say you free baby and then we had the from 2020 coming. Inflation the idea to idea na onko na ya to 50%, onko na ya to 30%, but be a free bano any baby a dru no it shows that we've come so far that in so na ya share the dru han say ya to your boss na ya share nkakra in the long run we'll be able to reach the brim or the we'll be able to feel it fully, to be able to reap the full benefit. We are not out of the problems yet, but we have come a long way. And the figures are pointing to the direction, say, Senior, you inflation on 50%. The way you say, we are say, dollar no is, I mean, it's the same thing that we can see, say, inflation not runaway inflation. Now it's around 22.8.
How to compare neighboring countries, sir? Sometimes we were far better than them. But then, what are they doing differently?
What was that? I asked men canker for ya COVID-19. Ube to me nipa me no anamiensa ete edan ba ko benya yare no. Anase nyina betuma yare no ba obi bu mbato obi hu so wo mo ho antom. And when there's a pandemic, when there's a problem, it is true say Togo ne Cote d'Ivoire ne nyina we all felt the impact, but we all will not respond the same.
Meaning say that you underlying factors be yeah, COVID
exactly.
And they say, affecting and I say, the say fundamentally, no, there was something wrong with us.
Exactly. So the fundamental of Ghanaian economy is import-driven, informal. Import-driven means that from the time of independence, we have been relying on import. It is informal in the sense that many people are not paying taxes. So the underlying problem couldn't have been addressed within a year or within 2 years. That it will take time to recover.
Okay.
And the recovery will not be as fast as we expected. But now we can see that there are signs say and near bit my day.
Yeah. Doc Milasi, a breno a tamunoko, a besan to Safrobio, no Bamia Dincomo, Medasipa. Dr. Erich Boachi Adom, a Chirini, a UPSA, na or Chere Sikasamu to Chie. Na ana yedi nkomo kakra e de afa media budget ya ehun samo e wo ho na menum say ye ka wunya questions anka obisa wo de nyabotre e bia da wo chena kra mere se mesime abuefo lansan so to me bisa questions bia na so ye nya nwie ye besan to side from bi no maba na fi ya to adwene da fa no ye nso a I think say ye se ma kwan na mo so mo hwe ye no so no mo so de ha mo fie no mo so mo to me bisa wa ha na anu ye bi o homo to me amantimi hye mo boss yakopon yadoma na wo twe bi si mu no we plan doing something like that se na be to me abo na nyina to me ato adwene ewe madana se na wo ahwe me so mada wase na ye de aseda ama ya boafo abo ayen na me ye de dwumadi bre specialize ka ho na fe this way need fufu need abekwan so ka ho bi na me de agya kwabena me ne Azik owusu aduomi ene ye de kasebo no ebremu eda mu nyina se ma mo ne hwe o cha nopa yakopon yadoma na wo twe sharp critical issue ensemu ye be do suko akwachiri papa ya kramo ama munina mo nehwe ema mo de yi